I'm so excited to be here today to share about our food program at Google and its role and impact in overall employee health and wellness. And you might be asking yourselves, why does it matter? Why does food play such a big impact on employee health and wellness? And it's because at the core of it, you are what you eat. What you put into your body makes such a big difference on your health and well-being. And actually, I went to a conference recently and heard Kevin Plank, the CEO and founder of Under Armour, speak. And what he said really resonates with me. He said, "It's absurd that you know more about your car than you know about your body." And that really hit home for me. Because how many people here know when your car needs to get an oil change? Or how many of you know what mileage your gas gives you? But how many of you know that same information for your body? And it's a bit ridiculous that we don't know that, because a well-fueled body makes such a big difference. Before I go into about our food program at Google, I wanted to give you a bit of background on Google itself. So some of you might know about Google from this movie. How many of you guys have seen it? Who knows anybody know what this movie is? The Internship, correct. So you might know a little about Google from this movie, or perhaps one of these two books, How Google Works or Work Rules. Or perhaps you know a little bit about Google from Fortune magazine's articles on the 100 best companies to work for. And while I would love to be able to tell you that we jump into bowls of M&Ms every day, that's not actually what we do. Although I do agree that it's a pretty awesome place to work. And what makes this magic happen is a team called RUSE. RUSE stands for Real Estate and Work-Life Services. RUSE's goal is to enable our employees to be at their best every day. And it's about creating amazing work environment. Under RUSE, we have all types of teams to make this happen. We have a fitness team, we have a transportation team, and food falls under this team. So what is the role of food? About a year ago, Fortune magazine published an article, and it was about how to build the best workplace. What he wrote was that it's not just about the perks, but it's about the relationships and the culture. And when food used well can help to build good relationships and a great company culture. So what fuels Google? I'd like to say that it is Google Food. Google Food is our internal food program. It started back in 1999 when our founders, Larry and Sergey, decided that they wanted to start a food program. And the idea behind this is that food brings people together, and it brings collaboration. So if you think about when you're most creative, it's not when you're checking your emails and responding to your emails. It's not when you're putting together PowerPoint decks. It's actually when you're getting together with colleagues over lunch, or perhaps when you're having a drink with a friend. That's the idea behind why they started the food program. Rumor actually has it 2 engineers got together over lunch. They were talking about how they wished unnamed email system did this or that and had these types of features. And then they said, well, why don't we just go make it ourselves? And that is how Gmail came about. And in fact, food is so critical to our culture that our first executive chef was hired as employee number 56 before an HR manager was hired. And today, food is still a huge part of our culture at Google. It's all about serving the right foods at the right moments in the most sustainable way. Our program supports Googlers to be at their best every day. The program contributes tremendously to our culture. It helps to bring teams together to collaborate. And at the end of the day, it helps Google to attract and retain top talent. In order to do this, we have had to scale tremendously. From that first chef, number 56, in that one cafe in Mountain View, today we operate in 55 countries, serving over 108,000 meals a day at over 185 cafes. We're actually opening up another 60 this year. We also have a mobile fleet program, and this includes food trucks, food carts. We even have a tuk-tuk that drives around campus. And while we continue to evolve and innovate and look at how we can scale, we stay true to our mission, which is to inspire and enable the Google community to make food choices and enjoy food experiences and supporting them to be at their best. So every day when we think about how can we help people be at their best, how can we use food and food experiences to help them? For us, it starts with enablement. Because if you think about it, you can give a man fish and feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So the way that we approach enablement at Google is holistic. We think about the whole food system. We have all kinds of programs from, we have a farm-to-table program where we teach our users about food and the food sources. We have community gardens on campus, beehives, so users can actually go and plant things, cultivate it. And then we have a teaching kitchen program where they can go to the kitchens and learn how to cook the foods that they've just cultivated. The wonderful thing about the teaching kitchen program that we have is that the core classes don't teach you how to cook based on a recipe. Because how many people in here have cooked based on a recipe and then you have all this leftover stuff that you don't know what to do with, and then it goes bad. So the core of the class is how do you cook based on flavor profiles? How do you mix and match things that you already have in your pantry to make a delicious dish? Aside from our programs, we also look at how do we use our food spaces to get people to collaborate, to come in and engage. So what I'm going to show you are a couple of examples of some of our food spaces. This is our New York office. It's our Laplace concept. And if you look at it, we have the produce front and center, beautiful colors, very engaging. This is our cafe in Mountain View, Bottle Cafe, reservation only. And teams use this space to celebrate. So they make reservations, come in here, collaborate, and celebrate wins. This is our coffee lab space. Users can come in here and play around with coffee, learn how to roast. There's also a tea area here for you to experiment with different teas. And of course, you can always come in here to do work. This is our Amsterdam office. As you can see, there's produce front and center. And this is part of our mobile fleet. It's called a Cubert, that big blue thing. You can take a forklift. It's a cube, forklift it, take it somewhere, drop it, it opens up, and you can cater events. This particular event was Take Your Parents to Work Day, where parents got to experience all kinds of cool things. And we converted our Cubert into a lemonade stand for our parents on this hot day in Mountain View. They absolutely loved it. And this is an example of a micro kitchen that we have in Jayburg. Our approach to vegetables and fruit is just one component of our overall integrated food and beverage philosophy. Our goal is to move our population to a more balanced plant-centric diet. And we do this because it's not just good for you, but it's better for the environment. What I'm going to share with you today is some of our learnings, so it's by no means the answer to everything, but I wanted to share it to inspire you. First, I wanted to start by introducing you to our three target audiences. First, our users, who are the internal Googlers and their families. Second, catering partners. This includes our culinarians, nutritionists, and last are our other partners. This includes internal teams like our health and wellness and also research institutions. We partner with a lot of academic research institutions. For our users, flavor and taste are key and foundational. If it doesn't taste good, if the produce doesn't taste good, they're not going to eat it. Product availability, placement, and interaction is also critical. So if you go into one of our micro kitchens, which is a break room, if we have all the chips and everything available and the chocolate right on the table, and then the fruit's hidden away, people are going to make that choice and choose the easy thing, what's right in front of them. And lastly is the concept of behavioral science. This is about food choice architecture. And the way we approach this is how do we make the healthy choice the easiest one? So for example, if you come into our micro kitchen, we have coolers. The bottom is frosted. All the sugary beverages are at the bottom. Water's at eye level. Making that slight change actually makes such a big difference. People are so lazy that they are not willing to bend down to get that soda. So they will take what is at eye level. For our users, marketing, communications, and engagement is also very important because we eat with our eyes, and if it looks delicious, we'll want to try it. And of course, teaching our users, increasing their food literacy, increasing their cooking skills enables them to take care of themselves. And we bring all of this together through our events and campaigns. We have a holistic approach in terms of how we do our campaigns. We actually just launched our Go Beyond the Grain campaign yesterday. It's a month-long campaign to get people really, really excited about whole grains and pulses. And I mentioned our Farm to Table program. It has everything from beehives, community gardens, hydroponic system, and it's really to help engage our users on where their food's coming from. At the end of the day, it's all about making it easy. It's using that behavioral science. So this is a picture of our micro kitchen, and you'll see that there are 5 bowls of fruit front and center. There are potato chips, there are chocolate, because we believe that everyone should have those options. They should be able to make those choices themselves. However, most people make over 200 food decisions a day. So if we can nudge people to make those better decisions whenever they have to make the decision, it helps them. So what you don't see here are behind this cabinet, there's drawers. That's where all the chocolate and cupcakes and all the other goodies are. But because they're behind there and you don't visibly see it, and because you have to bend down and pull open a drawer, you're less likely to actually eat it. And when you come up here, you will pick the fruit or vegetable. For our catering partners, we use celebrity chefs and role models to inspire them. We also develop our culinarians through training, and we engage with them. So for example, just recently we had a procurement summit out in Chicago. We brought in all of our chef-ticians, our culinary teams, and we engaged with them and had them just play with food and teach each other and learn from each other. We gave them a basket of 10 items, including all of the seasonings, and they had to create amazing plant-based food. And they got to teach each other based on this. What we have learned, we continue to build upon and iterate. And some of the things that we have learned have turned into our culinary strategies. For example, portion sizing makes a difference, or different cuisine types. Because a lot of people have this misconception that plant-based foods are like steamed broccoli or your salads, and it's not that delicious, so I don't want to eat it. But then if you think about cuisine types like Mediterranean food or Indian food, they're all plant-based, but they are so delicious and craveable. So we're trying to bring those concepts into our spaces. Externally, we also partner with a number of institutions. Culinary Institute of America is one of them. We partner with them on research around the intersection of deliciousness and healthy, sustainable, plant-based food choices. Our big question was, how do we make vegetables craveable? How do we make people really, 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 really excited about veggies? So we set out to do pilots. Our first pilot was done in October of 2014, and it was around pre-portioned animal proteins. And it was done at our Root Cafe in Mountain View. The cafe itself was self-serve. So as you can imagine, people would walk down this line, put more food than they really should, and fill up their plate, and they would end up with 2 or 3 different serving sizes of animal proteins. So our goal for this pilot was, 1, how can we decrease the consumption of animal proteins and have people actually only consume the appropriate portion size? And second, how can we drive awareness of what an appropriate portion size is? So what we did in this cafe was we pre-plated each dish, had beautiful, delicious vegetables topped with a 3 to 5 ounce portion of animal protein or seafood. We didn't say you can only have 1 plate. People can come back, they could take 2 plates if they wanted, so we weren't limiting them on how many plates they could take. But what we found is that we were able to reduce the animal protein consumption by 20%. People actually stopped eating after 1 plate, and they were pretty happy by the quality of the food. So then we set out to do another study. We did a pilot again in Root last October, and it was around custom flavors and chef engagement. It was in our Root Cafe again, and we had an animal protein station and a veggie station. But what we did was we highlighted the veggie station. We had signage, we had different sauces there so you could customize your veggies, and we had a chef there so that he could talk to you about how to make your flavors match and taste better and tell you about where your veggies are coming from. What we found afterwards, we asked everybody, so how was your lunch? It was a very general question. It was not how is the veggie, but how is your lunch? And what we found was people only talked about the amazing polenta or the chickpea fritters, and oh my gosh, that sauce was delicious, and I love talking to the chef. There were some people that talked about the animal proteins, but it was not as much as the veggie station. Last pilot that we did was most recent, and it was around visual cues, and we looked at 2 different types of visual cues. The first was on signage, and the second was culinary techniques. So for signage, as you can see on here, we put a sign behind it, talked about the farmer's basket of the day, and we even named the dish Smoked New Potato Omelet Española with Romesco sauce. Sounds super fancy and very delicious. And then we explored culinary techniques. So we used things that are typically done on meat. So we had grill marks on our asparagus, or we smoked our vegetables. The interesting thing here is we did this pilot in our barbecue cafe. So we did it in backyard barbecue. And people usually go to barbecue cafes to eat meat. So we were very interested in seeing what the results would be. What we found is afterwards, people who came in looking for meat ended up actually choosing the vegetable dish. And we had greater consumption of the veggie dishes than the meat. So what are some of our key learnings? You have to define your desired outcome and a roadmap for getting there. For us, it was about how do we get our population moved over to a more balanced plant-centric diet. And in doing so, you have to consider all of your key stakeholders. For us, we want our users to move in that direction, but at the end of the day, we have to engage with our business leaders and our culinarians, because our culinarians are the ones creating the dishes. And if the deliciousness of the food makes a big difference, we need them on board to create delicious food that our users will eat. Change is hard and it takes time. So this has been a journey for us, and we're still on that journey, trying to move people to consuming more balanced plant-centric foods. Behavioral sciences is key. Making the best choice, the easiest one, is very important. And tell stories. Find great storytellers. By telling the story of where the food has come from, using imagery, you can make a very big difference. Good health is good for business. Thank you.